Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Shannon Mowdy. People in one Spokane neighborhood had a very early and unwelcome start to Thanksgiving morning when a woman running from police crashed her car into their yards. Take a look at this. This is the aftermath of the crash. The driver is in the hospital in critical condition tonight. This happened around 7 this morning, just minutes after Spokane officers tried to pull the woman over. Spokane police say it was not the result of a pursuit. KREM 2's Regan Gallo spoke to neighbors awoken by the noise.
Well, I am on North Crestline Street where early this morning police say that a driver crashed into a light pole and then in someone's yard. Police say this happened after an officer tried to pull the driver over not far from here, and then the driver then took off.
It does spoil your day for sure, you know.
Eric Coyle lives in the home where the driver and the car ended up.
I heard a crash, looked out my window, and it was tumbling in my yard, and the pole dropped on top of it. It's pretty crazy.
Police say the crash followed an attempt by an officer to pull the driver over. The lieutenant I talked with to confirm the details told me it's unknown why the officer wanted to stop the driver. However, when the driver didn't stop with the police car's lights and sirens on, the officer behind the wheel stopped following the car as part of the police pursuit policy. Police say the driver was a woman, and the woman a short time later crashed the car into a light pole and also damaged the home's fence.
And I was sitting upstairs and I heard a loud crash. To me, it sounded like somebody throwing something big and heavy into the back end of a pickup truck.
Coyle says the woman of the wrecked car was definitely speeding. He also said the woman was unconscious the entire time while the fire department was cutting the top of the car open. The witness told me there was also a man in the car and he could hear him screaming after the crash.
You wake up happy and excited, and then you see that, and then have to listen to somebody screaming all the commotion for like an hour, so it's kind of stomach turning.
The police cannot confirm right now why the officer originally tried to pull her over, which initiated the incident. Coyle said his roommate and him may repair the damaged fence themselves, depending on cost. Even with the crash, he was optimistic about still getting to his family's Thanksgiving dinner.
Drive safe and happy Thanksgiving.
As of now, police say the investigation is still ongoing. They cannot say yet if the woman will be charged, but we are told that the woman was rushed to the hospital and she is in critical condition. In North Spokane, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Let's take a live look over Riverfront Park tonight, and one thing we are all thankful for is the holiday forecast. Not a drop of rain inside as we turn to meteorologist Michelle Boss. And what can we expect for this weekend, Michelle?
Yeah, more quiet weather. No rain, no snow, no wind. Pretty smooth sailing, not only if you're traveling here locally or even in the Pacific Northwest, but for most of the U.S. So let's take a broad view at the country and see where any inclement weather might be. We got a few showers across northern Louisiana. Do have some wintry weather in New England, but that is about it. As we zoom in to the northwest, we are just dealing with some gray skies, but really no precipitation coming out of that, either rain or snow, and more of this similar type weather is expected for tomorrow. Temperature wise, because of the lack of sunshine and light winds, it was hard to really warm up much. So we topped out in the middle 30s this afternoon and now sitting at 33 in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, right at freezing in Omak and Sandpoint, and temperatures pretty similar down south across the Palouse, low to mid 30s, 39 in Lewiston and 31 in Moses Lake. Short-term forecast, no surprises here. Skies staying cloudy. We could see some patchy freezing fog in some spots tomorrow. We had a little bit of that this morning, briefly in Spokane for about an hour or two, but it wasn't that bad. Temperatures again bottoming out in the upper 20s to around 30. Here's a look at the next 3 days. Cloudy skies. I'm still thinking we might see a flake or two. That's about it tomorrow. Some light snow in the mountains. And then being optimistic that we might see a few sun breaks on Saturday and Sunday, but otherwise dry weather and mostly cloudy skies, highs in the middle and upper 30s.
Well, hundreds of people lined up for a Thanksgiving meal in East Central Spokane this morning. They received either free meals, cash donations, or even gloves and warm clothing. This has been the Fresh Soul owner Michael Brown's Thanksgiving tradition for years. With the help of donors, they gave out $100,000 worth of donations to roughly 500 people.
And I'm just being a servant of God because I believe that a person's action defines their character. See, and we should all be able to serve.
Brown says the giveaway will be back again next Thanksgiving for the 6th year. And check your fridge tonight. A cucumber recall is impacting 32 states, including Washington, Idaho, and British Columbia, due to a salmonella contamination. Sun-Fed Produce is recalling all sizes of whole American cucumbers packaged in bulk. The cardboard containers are labeled with the Sun-Fed label or in a generic white box or black plastic crate. They were sold between October 12th through November 26th. Salmonella poisoning can start 6 hours to 6 days after ingestion, and it can last 4 to 7 days. 3 American prisoners in China and their families have plenty to be thankful for today. The 3 men returned to the U.S. last night after a prisoner swap. U.S. officials say the men were held on phony espionage and drug charges. This rare diplomatic agreement with China was completed less than 2 months before President Biden leaves office.
I spoke with all 3 of them. You know, one was there only 3 years, but he was for a life sentence. Other one was there for, I think it was total of 20 some years. Anyway, they're long stays, and I'm really happy they're home.
Now, one of the men spent 12 years in Chinese custody. Another was held for 8 years. The third was held for 2. China's foreign minister says the U.S. released the 3 prisoners in that swap. It has been decades since mining ended, but environmental impacts are still being felt at the Midnight Mine in Stevens County. Located near Welpinit, operations began at the uranium mine in 1955. It closed around 25 years later in the early 80s, but since then, some invisible dangers have been brought to light.
You know, they made the decision back then that they had to make, but it was an everlasting, impact on the environment and the people.
Join us Monday on KREM 2 News at 6 as our Environment Northwest team investigates the lasting impact of uranium mining on the Spokane tribe and the land they call home.